They told us space was empty, quiet, predictable. They lied. Out there, between the stars, something ancient waits, watching. And on one routine salvage mission, we woke it up. So tell me again why we brought the squishy meat bag along, Thalix chittered, her mandibles clicking in what passed for laughter among the arthropodians. I rolled my eyes, suppressing the urge to flip her the bird, not that she'd understand the gesture anyway. This squishy meat bag has a name, you know. It's Noah Reyes, and I'm here because the Galactic Council, in their infinite wisdom, Dranex interrupted, his tentacles writhing in what I'd come to recognize as barely contained amusement, decided that every deep space salvage crew needs a token human for diversity or some such nonsense. The cephalopian's laughter burbled through his respirator, a sound not unlike a drowning duck attempting to gargle mouthwash. I'd been on this rust bucket of a salvage ship for 3 standard galactic months, and I still couldn't decide if that sound was hilarious or nightmare-inducing. Ha ha. You're hilarious, really, I deadpanned, checking the seals on my environment suit for the umpteenth time. Keep it up, and I might just accidentally forget to fix the sonic shower next time it breaks down. I'm sure you'd all love to marinate in your own filth for a few cycles. That shut them up. If there was one thing I'd learned about my alien crewmates, it was that they were obsessed with cleanliness. Well, that and making fun of the token human. All right, Commander Vorin rumbled, his crystalline form glittering under the harsh lights of the airlock. Enough banter. We've got a job to do. Scans show an abandoned ship of unknown origin about half a click from our current position. Standard salvage protocols apply. Dranex, you're on point. Thalix, watch our 6. Noah, try not to trip over your own feet and decompress us all, yeah? I bit back a retort and nodded. No use arguing with the captain, even if he was a giant, sentient gemstone with all the warmth and charm of a black hole. The airlock cycled, and we stepped out into the void. The salvage ship, affectionately, or perhaps ironically, named the Rust Bucket by yours truly, looked even more decrepit from the outside. How this thing managed to stay space-worthy was beyond me. But then again, I was just a lowly human engineer. What did I know? We made our way towards the derelict, propelled by our suit thrusters. As we drew closer, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. This ship was unlike anything I'd ever seen, and trust me, I'd seen my fair share of weird alien vessels in the past few months. Its hull was a deep matte black that seemed to drink in the light from our helmet beams. The shape was all wrong too, organic almost, with curves and protrusions that made no sense from an engineering standpoint. It looked less like a spaceship and more like some ancient, eldritch beast that had fallen into a long slumber among the stars. Guys, I said, my voice wavering slightly. Are we sure this is a good idea? That thing looks wrong. Thalix's mandibles clicked rapidly, her equivalent of an exasperated sigh. What's wrong, human? Scared of the dark? It's not the dark I'm worried about, I muttered. It's what might be lurking in it. Dranex's tentacles waved dismissively. Your species' propensity for imagining threats where none exist never ceases to amaze me. It's a wonder you ever made it off your little blue marble. Stow it, Commander Vorin ordered. We're here to salvage, not debate evolutionary psychology. Dranex, find us a way in. As the cephalopian moved towards what looked like it might be an airlock, I couldn't help but feel like we were making a huge mistake. In all the cheesy sci-fi horror vids I'd watched back on Earth, this was usually the part where things started to go horribly wrong. But hey, what did I know? I was just a squishy meat bag after all. Dranex managed to bypass the airlock systems with disturbing ease, and soon we were inside the derelict. The interior was just as unsettling as the exterior, all swooping organic curves and materials that seemed to absorb both light and sound. Our footsteps made no noise as we moved deeper into the ship, and the beams from our helmet lights seemed to penetrate only a few feet before being swallowed by the oppressive darkness. "This is unprecedented," Commander Vorin said, his usual bravado noticeably diminished. "I've never encountered a ship of this design before. That's what I've been trying to tell you," I hissed. "Something's not right here. We should leave, report this to the Galactic Council. Let them send in the inaudible and the big guns." Thalix chittered dismissively. "And miss out on the salvage rights? Not a chance, human. Your cowardice is showing." I was about to retort when something caught my eye, a faint pulsing glow coming from further down the corridor. "Hey, does anyone else see that?" The others turned to look, and for a moment, there was silence. "Fascinating," Dranex burbled. "Some kind of bioluminescence, perhaps, or maybe a power source we're unfamiliar with." "Only one way to find out," Commander Vorin said, his crystalline form already moving towards the light. And I wanted to protest, to dig my heels in and demand we turn back, but I knew it would fall on deaf ears, or whatever passed for ears among this motley crew. So against my better judgment, I followed them towards the pulsing glow. As we drew closer, the light resolved itself into a large, circular chamber, and there, floating in the center like some cosmic joke, was a suit of armor. But not just any armor, this. This was something else entirely. It was sleek, almost predatory in its design, black as the void itself, with lines of pulsing energy running across its surface like luminous veins. It looked both ancient and impossibly advanced, as if someone had taken the fever dreams of 1,000 sci-fi authors and somehow made them real. And the worst part, it looked human, unnervingly, impossibly human. "Well," Dranex said, his voice a mixture of awe and scientific curiosity, "this is unexpected." Thalix's mandibles were clicking so fast they were almost a blur. "Impossible. This can't be of human origin. Their technology is primitive, barely beyond flinging rocks at each other." I should have been offended, but I was too busy staring at the armor. Something about it called to me, tugged at some primal part of my brain. Before I knew what I was doing, I was moving towards it. "Noah," Commander Vorin's voice cracked like a whip. "Stand down. We don't know what that thing is or what it might do." I stopped my hand halfway extended towards the armor. He was right, of course. This was the part in those horror vids where the idiot protagonist touched the alien artifact and got themselves and their entire crew killed. But then the armor moved. It was subtle at first, just a slight shift, as if it were waking up from a long slumber. Then faster than should have been possible, it unfolded itself. Pieces that I hadn't even realized were separate components rearranged themselves, forming a humanoid shape that hovered menacingly before us. "Okay," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Now might be a good time to run." For once, no one argued. We turned as one and bolted for the exit, our suit thrusters propelling us through the eerie corridors. Behind us, I could hear something. Not footsteps, exactly, but a sort of rhythmic pulsing, growing louder with each passing second. "It's gaining on us," Thalix screeched, her usual composure completely shattered. I risked a glance back and immediately wished I hadn't. The armor was flowing, for lack of a better word. It moved like liquid metal, effortlessly gliding through the air towards us. We burst out of the airlock and into open space, not even bothering with proper decompression protocols. The rust bucket was just ahead, its dilapidated bulk never looking so inviting. "Go, go, go," Commander Vorin bellowed, his crystalline form vibrating with fear or excitement. It was hard to tell with him sometimes. We made it to the airlock in record time, piling in like sardines in a can. As the outer doors began to close, I caught one last glimpse of the armor. It had stopped just outside the derelict ship, hovering ominously, and though it had no visible eyes, I could have sworn it was looking right at me. The airlock cycled, and we all but fell into the ship proper, a tangle of limbs, tentacles, and crystalline appendages. What in the name of the Seven Suns was that? Dranex gasped, his tentacles writhing in agitation. "I don't know," Commander Vorin said, his usual authoritative tone notably absent. "But I think it's high time we inform the Galactic Council. This is beyond our pay grade." I was about to agree wholeheartedly when a sudden tremor ran through the ship, then another and another. Oh no," I breathed. "Please tell me that's not what I think it is." Thalix scrambled to a nearby console, her mandibles clicking furiously as she brought up the external cameras. And there, clear as day, was the armor. It had attached itself to our hull and seemed to be merging with it somehow. "This is impossible," Dranex burbled, his voice rising in pitch. "The material composition of our hull should prevent any form of my molecular bonding, or save the scientific babble for later," Commander Vorin snapped. "We need to get this thing off our ship now." But even as he spoke, I knew it was too late. The armor had already covered a significant portion of the rust bucket's exterior, and it was spreading fast. Within minutes, we'd be completely engulfed. "Suggestions?" the captain asked, a note of desperation creeping into his voice. "Anyone?" And that's when I had what was quite possibly the dumbest idea of my life. "I'll go out there," I said, surprised at how steady my voice sounded. Maybe I can communicate with it somehow." The looks they gave me ranged from disbelief to outright pity. "Have you completely lost what passes for a mind in that soft cranium of yours?" Thalix chittered incredulously. "That thing will tear you apart." "Maybe," I admitted, "but it's of human design, or at least it looks that way. And I'm the only human here. If anyone has a chance of understanding it, it's me." There was a moment of tense silence, broken only by the continued tremors running through the ship. Finally, Commander Vorin spoke. "As much as it pains me to admit it, the human might be right. We're out of options and out of time. Noah, good luck." I nodded, trying to ignore the way my stomach was doing backflips. "Thanks. If this doesn't work, well, it's been an honor serving with you all. Even if you are a bunch of xenophobic jerks sometimes." With that parting shot, I made my way back to the airlock. As the cycle began, I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. The outer doors opened, and I stepped out into the void once more. The armor had nearly covered the entire ship by now, its pulsing energy lines creating a hypnotic pass across the rust bucket's hull. As I approached, it seemed to notice me. A tendril of the strange, liquid-like material extended towards me, probing curiously. "Okay," I muttered to myself. "Here goes nothing. Hello, can you understand me?" For a moment, nothing happened. Then, faster than I could react, the tendrils shot forward and enveloped me. I tried to scream, but no sound came out in the vacuum of space. I felt a moment of blind panic as the strange material covered me completely, and then warmth, a sense of connection, of coming home after a long journey. Images and sensations flooded my mind, stars being born and dying, civilizations rising and falling, the vast sweep of cosmic history playing out in fast forward. I understood then this wasn't just armor. It was a repository of knowledge, a guardian of secrets long forgotten, and it had been waiting for someone worthy to claim it. As the last of the material settled around me, forming a perfect, seamless suit, I felt power coursing through me. Knowledge beyond imagining filled my mind, and I knew with absolute certainty that everything was about to change. I turned back towards the airlock where I could see my crewmates pressed against the viewport, their expressions a mixture of fear and awe. With a thought, I opened a communication channel. "Hey guys," I said, unable to keep a hint of smug satisfaction out of my voice. "Guess the squishy meat bag came in handy after all, huh?" And the next few hours were a whirlwind of activity once I'd managed to convince my crewmates that I wasn't, in fact, possessed by some malevolent cease entity. Easier said than done. Let me tell you, we set about trying to understand exactly what had happened. "So let me get this straight," Commander Vorin said, his crystalline form vibrating with what I'd come to recognize as intense frustration. "This armor is actually some kind of ancient technological artifact left behind by a long-dead civilization." I nodded, still marveling at how naturally the armor moved with me. It felt less like wearing a suit and more like a second skin. That's right. From what I can gather from the data it's been feeding me, they called themselves the Precursors. They were, well, let's just say they make our current level of technology look like sticks and stones. Dranex's tentacles writhed in excitement. Fascinating. The scientific implications alone are staggering. Think of what we could learn from— "Hold your hydrogen atoms there, Squiddy," I interrupted. "This isn't some tech we can just reverse engineer. The armor, it's alive, in a sense, and it chose me." Thalex's mandibles clicked rapidly, her version of derisive laughter. "Oh, please. You expect us to believe that out of all the species in the galaxy, this hyper-advanced alien artifact chose a human? You can barely operate the ship's coffee maker without help." I felt a surge of irritation, amplified by the armor's responsive systems. The room's lights flickered ominously. "First of all, your so-called coffee maker looks like it was cobbled together from spare parts in a junkyard. Second, believe what you want, but the facts are the facts. The armor chose me, and now we're connected." "Connected how, exactly?" Commander Vorin asked, his tone cautious. I paused, trying to find the right words to explain the indescribable. It's like, imagine having access to the sum total of human knowledge, but instead of reading it, you're living it. I can feel the history of the Precursors, their triumphs, and their mistakes. And the armor itself, it's not just a tool. It's a partner. As if to emphasize my point, the armor shifted slightly, its surface rippling with patterns of light. Dranex leaned in closer, his scientific curiosity overriding any lingering fear. "Remarkable. And you say it's showing you how to operate it?" I nodded. "That and more. I'm learning about technologies that shouldn't be possible, seeing parts of the universe we never even knew existed. It's overwhelming, to be honest." Commander Vorin's crystalline form shimmered, a sign I'd come to recognize as deep thought. "This is unprecedented. We need to report this to the Galactic Council immediately." I felt a sudden surge of protectiveness, both from myself and the armor. "Hold on a second. We don't know how they'll react. They might try to take the armor away, or worse." Thalex's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Oh, so now the human is an expert on galactic politics. Need I remind you that you're still the lowest-ranking member of this crew?" I turned to face her, the armor's surface rippling with barely contained energy. "And need I remind you that I'm currently wearing a piece of technology So advanced it makes your fancy toys look like stone axes. I think that changes the dynamic a bit, don't you? The room fell silent, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. It was Draenex who finally broke it, his tentacles waving in a conciliatory gesture. "Perhaps," he said carefully, "we should take a moment to consider our options. This discovery could change everything. We need to proceed cautiously." Commander Vorin nodded slowly. "Agreed. Noah, what exactly can that armor do? Give us a demonstration." I grinned, though they couldn't see it behind the armor's featureless faceplate. "Gladly, but we might want to step outside for this. Wouldn't want to accidentally blow a hole in the ship." A few minutes later, we were back in the void of space. The others watched from the safety of the airlock as I hovered a short distance from the rust bucket. "All right," I said over the comm. "Let's start with something simple." With a thought, I activated the armor's propulsion system. In an instant, I was moving faster than any suit thruster I'd ever used, zipping around the ship in complex patterns that would have made a fighter pilot jealous. "Impressive," Commander Vorin admitted grudgingly. "But speed alone doesn't—" Before he could finish, I focused on another of the armor's systems. A shimmering energy field sprang into existence around me, just as a barrage of micro-meteors peppered the area. They bounced harmlessly off the shield. "Defensive capabilities too," I said, unable to keep a note of smugness out of my voice. "And that's just the tip of the iceberg. This suit can generate energy weapons, interface with any technology I've encountered so far, and, well, let's just say it's got a few more tricks up its sleeve." Draenex's voice came over the comm, bubbling with excitement. "Extraordinary. The power requirements for such systems must be enormous. How does it, Trade secret," I interrupted, tapping the side of my helmet. "Let's just say it makes antimatter reactors look like potato batteries." I could practically hear Thalex's mandibles clicking in annoyance. Yes, very impressive. But what does this mean for us? For our mission?" It was a fair question, and one I'd been pondering myself. The armor had shown me wonders beyond imagination, hinted at threats lurking in the dark between stars. Our simple salvage mission seemed laughably insignificant in comparison. "I think," I said slowly, choosing my words carefully, "that our mission just got a whole lot bigger. There's something coming, something the precursors were preparing for, and now, for better or worse, we're part of it." "Part of what exactly?" Commander Vorin asked, his tone a mixture of curiosity and trepidation. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for their reaction. A war for the fate of the entire galaxy." The silence that followed was deafening. I could almost see the gears turning in their heads, trying to process the magnitude of what I'd just said. "A war?" Thalex finally chittered, her usual sarcasm replaced by genuine fear. "Against whom? Or what?" I shook my head. "I'm not entirely sure yet. The armor's data is fragmented, but from what I can piece together, there's an ancient enemy, something that nearly wiped out the precursors. They created weapons and technology to fight it, including this armor. And now I think it's waking up again." Laughs. Krolak's tentacles writhed nervously, but surely the Galactic Council would know about such a threat. "Our combined technological might is nothing compared to what's coming," I interrupted. "Trust me, I've seen glimpses of what this enemy can do. If we don't prepare, if we don't find the other artifacts the precursors left behind, we won't stand a chance." Commander Vorin's voice was uncharacteristically subdued when he spoke again. "So what do you propose, Noah?" We're just a salvage crew. We're not equipped for this." I turned back towards the airlock. The armor system's already plotting courses and probabilities. We might not be equipped, but we're what the galaxy's got right now. The armor's given me coordinates for other precursor sites. I say we check them out, gather what we can, and then decide our next move. "And the Galactic Council?" Thalix asked. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to rush back to populated space to warn everyone of what was coming. But another part, influenced by the armor's vast strategic database, urged caution. "We keep this to ourselves for now," I said finally. "At least until we know more. If we go public with this, it'll cause panic at best. And at worst, someone might decide that the easiest way to deal with the problem is to eliminate the messenger." Krolak finished, his usual scientific detachment tinged with grim understanding. I nodded. "Exactly. So what do you say? Ready to save the galaxy?" There was a moment of silence, and I feared they might refuse. After all, what I was proposing was nothing short of mutiny against the Galactic Council itself. But then, "Well," Commander Vorin said, a hint of his old bravado creeping back into his voice, "I always did want to be part of something bigger than salvage operations. Count me in." Laughs. "The scientific opportunities alone make this worth the risk," Krolak burbled enthusiastically. "I'm with you, Noah." All eyes, or visual sensors in some cases, turned to Thalix. She clicked her mandibles thoughtfully for a moment before speaking. "Oh, what the hell?" she chittered. "Someone's got to keep you soft bodies from getting yourselves killed. I'm in." I felt a wave of relief wash over me. "All right then, crew of the Rust Bucket, let's make history." As we made our way back into the ship, I couldn't help but reflect on the irony of the situation. A few hours ago, I was the butt of every joke, the token human on a crew that barely tolerated my presence. Now I was their best hope for survival against a threat they couldn't even comprehend. The armor pulsed comfortingly against my skin, as if sensing my thoughts. In that moment, I made a silent vow. I would master this technology, unlock every secret it held, and when the time came, I would stand between humanity, between all sentient life, and the darkness that sought to extinguish it. Let them laugh at the squishy human now. Soon enough, they'd see what we were really capable of. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. We followed the coordinates provided by the armor, jumping from system to system, always staying one step ahead of the Galactic Council patroller. Each precursor site we discovered held new wonders and new challenges. On a gas giant's moon, we found a gravity manipulation device that could create localized singularities. Krolak nearly lost a tentacle testing that one out. In the heart of a dying star, we recovered a power source that made our antimatter reactors look like cheap batteries. Commander Vorin's crystalline form actually cracked from the excitement. Then on a barren world at the edge of known space, we unearthed Laughs to an AI core that held the fragmented memories of a long-dead precursor scientist. Even Thalix was impressed by that one, though she'd never admit it. With each discovery, the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. The enemy the precursors had fought and nearly lost to was something straight out of a cosmic horror story. A hive-mind entity that consumed entire civilizations, assimilating their knowledge and technology before moving on to the next galaxy. "It's like a giant spacefaring parasite," I explained to the crew during one of our briefings. "It doesn't just destroy. It absorbs, learns, adapts, and now it's heading straight for our galaxy." "But why now?" Commander Vorin asked, his voice reverberating through his crystalline form. "If this threat has existed for so long, why haven't we encountered it before?" I gestured to the star map hovering in the center of the room, a holographic display courtesy of my armor's advanced tech. From what I've pieced together, the precursors managed to push it back, to seal it away in a pocket dimension. But the seal is weakening. In a few years, maybe less, it'll break free completely. Laughs. Krolak's tentacles writhed nervously. And what happens then? Surely the combined might of the Galactic Council would be about as effective as throwing rocks at a supernova. I interrupted. You've seen what the precursor tech do. The enemy we're facing, it's got technology just as advanced, if not more so, and it's had eons to prepare for this moment. Thalix clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. So what's the plan then, oh great human savior? Are we supposed to take on this cosmic horror all by ourselves? I smiled, though they couldn't see it behind my armor's faceplate. Not by ourselves, no, but we're not going to rely on the Galactic Council either. It's time we built our own army. The stunned silence that followed was almost comical. Commander Vorin was the first to recover. Our own army? He said, his tone a mixture of disbelief and intrigue. And how exactly do you propose we do that? I tapped a command into the holographic display, bringing up schematics for a massive space station. With this, it's a precursor manufacturing hub capable of producing ships, weapons, even more suits of armor like mine. And the best part, it's completely self-sufficient. We can hide it in deep space away from prying eyes. Laughs. Krolak leaned in closer, his scientific curiosity overriding any lingering doubts. Fascinating. But surely operating such a facility would require an AI. I finished for him. That's where our latest find comes in. The precursor scientists' memories. They're fragmented, yes, but there's enough there to create a new AI, one loyal to our cause. Thalix's mandibles clicked rapidly, her equivalent of nervous laughter. Oh, is that all? We're just going to create an all-powerful AI, build a secret space factory, and raise an army to fight an ancient cosmic horror. And here I thought we might be in over our heads. I couldn't help but chuckle. When you put it like that, it does sound a bit crazy. But think about it. We've already done the impossible several times over. Why stop now? Commander Vorin's crystalline form shimmered as he considered the proposal. It's risky, he said finally. If the Galactic Council gets wind of this, they won't, I assured him. The precursor tech we've gathered, it's beyond anything they can detect. We'll be ghosts operating right under their noses. There was a moment of tense silence as the crew exchanged glances. Then, to my surprise and relief, they began to nod. Well, Commander Vorin said, a hint of excitement creeping into his voice. I didn't sign up for this job expecting a quiet retirement anyway. Let's do it. Laughs. Krolak's tentacles waved enthusiastically. The scientific opportunities alone make this worth the risk. Count me in. All eyes turned to Thalix. She clicked her mandibles in what I'd come to recognize as her version of a resigned sigh. Someone's got to keep you lunatics from getting us all killed, she chittered. Besides, I've always wanted to be part of a galactic conspiracy. Beats salvage work, at least. I felt a wave of relief and gratitude wash over me. All right then, let's get to work. We've got a galaxy to save. As we set course for the coordinates of the precursor manufacturing hub, I couldn't help but reflect on how far we'd come. A few months ago, I was just a lowly human engineer on a salvage crew, the butt of every alien joke. Now, I was the linchpin in a plan to save the entire galaxy. The armor pulsed against my skin, a comforting reminder of the power and responsibility I now wielded. I made a silent vow, not just to my crew, but to every sentient being in the galaxy, human and alien alike. We would be ready. We would stand against the darkness. And when the enemy finally arrived, they'd learn what humanity, what all of us were truly capable of. Let them laugh at the squishy humans now. Soon enough, they'd see just how dangerous we could be. Epilogue, 5 years later. The bridge of the Defender, our flagship, was a hive of activity. Holographic displays flickered with real-time battle data, and the air was thick with tension. Enemy fleet emerging from hyperspace, Felix reported, her mandibles clicking rapidly as she processed the sensor data. Numbers are significant. I nodded, the familiar weight of the armor comforting against my skin, as expected. Krolak, status on our forces, water splashing. Cepha, Cephalopian's tentacles danced over his console. All ships reporting ready. The AI core is coordinating defensive patterns now. Good, I said, turning to face the main view screen. Commander Vorin, are you ready to make history? The crystalline being who had once been my skeptical superior officer now stood tall and proud. Born ready, Admiral Thompson. It's been an honor serving with you. I allowed myself a small smile. The honor's been mine, old friend. All ships, this is Admiral Thompson. The enemy we've prepared for all these years is finally here. They think they're invincible. They think this galaxy is ripe for the taking. Let's show them how wrong they are. As our fleet moved to engage the cosmic horror that had haunted the nightmares of the precursors, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humans, arthropodians, cephalopians, crystallines, and a dozen other species I'd never even heard of before this all started. We were united now, standing together against the darkness. The first shots were fired, lances of energy that would have annihilated entire planets in the old days. Our precursor-derived shields held firm. "Return fire," I ordered, my voice calm despite the storm of emotions raging inside me. "All ships, execute battle plan Omega. Let's remind the galaxy why you don't mess with the underdogs." As our fleets surged forward, weapons blazing with the power of long-dead stars, I allowed myself a moment of reflection. From a mocked engineer to the admiral of humanity's last hope, it had been one hell of a journey. The battle was just beginning, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. But as I watched Artetis dance through the void, as I felt the power of the precursor armor thrumming through my veins, I knew one thing for certain. We would not go quietly into the night. We would rage against the dying of the light. And when the dust settled, the galaxy would remember the day that humanity, that all of us, stood tall and said, "Not today." The squishy meatbags were here to stay, and God help anyone who tried to stand in our way.